Hey everybody, Luxinda here. Welcome back to the Lou. We are going to play with embossing powder and mica powder today because actually quite a while ago I saw a video that kind of made me think, I'd like to try that. And the idea is that using clear embossing powder and mica powder, you could create your own colors of embossing powder to use on anything without having to go buy individual colors of pre-colored embossing powder. And I thought, well, that sounds like fun. And then I, moved on to something else and forgot all about it until recently. And I did a search. It took me forever to find the video I'd watched originally. I did finally find it. I will put the name of that channel here on the screen. I'll link to it down below if you want to see what the initial inspiration was. I also found a bunch of other videos where they not only took clear embossing powder and mica powder, but they also added just a few drops of of alcohol ink. And then they mixed that all together and got kind of a very slightly damp sand consistency and let it dry, and then you had even more pigmented embossing powder that way. I'm going to stick with the original version I saw, which is just the powders. I'm not going to mix alcohol inks into it. If you're interested in seeing me try that sometime, leave a comment down below and I'll give that a shot in a different video. But for today, we're going to do this. I did a quick test and I have not achieved exactly what the other person did. I started by stamping some Versamark sticky clear ink, basically is what it is, with my little bird, onto this black paper, and I hit it with my embossing heat gun and it turns all clear and glossy. They have matte clear powder as well. And then I mixed using that other video's proportions. She recommended 2 parts of clear embossing powder to 1 part of mica powder. So I did that, and I used this beautiful blue from Woody's Goodies called Bell Bottom Blues, but any mica powder. In fact, I had totally forgotten until I rewatched the video earlier today that she used eyeshadow, cake eyeshadow in the palettes. And eyeshadow is just pressed mica powder, basically. So that's why I figured I don't wear eyeshadow anymore. That's decades ago for me. So I don't have any, but I do have like a crap ton. My scientific measurement for how much stuff I have. I think any color will work. And I mixed 2 parts embossing to 1 part mica, and I was able to achieve an embossed stamp. This is good and embossed on here now. So the embossing powder that I mixed in melted and adhered the mica powder that was also mixed in onto the paper. It's not going anywhere. Not coming off on my finger, but it didn't give me the glossy finish that it gave the gal in the original video I watched. So I'm going to take this same mixture. This is very pigmented to begin with. I used these little coffee stir type spoons. So 1 of these of the blue and 2 of these of the clear embossing powder got me this, which got me this, which works great, but it doesn't seem to be as glossy as I was expecting. So I'm going to add more of the embossing powder and we're going to see if we can do this again. Another thing you can do if you don't want to mess with the embossing powder, but you have a stamp and you have the Versamark already, is you can stamp it onto a piece of paper, and then you can just sprinkle mica powder onto it. You will encounter a situation where there's mica powder all over the paper as well as on the sticky part, and I just recommend a really soft brush. Just, brush off the excess. That's what I did here after I heated it and melded it onto the paper. So that's another option that bypasses this altogether. Now, I was hoping to get the glossiness from this. So let's try again. Let's take this same stuff and I'm going to get a clean spoon because I have a gazillion of them, and I'm going to put in 2 more spoonfuls of embossing powder. So that will be 4 parts embossing to 1 part mica. Just mix this all around. You could go even further with the mixing process and get one of the mortar and pestle, or they have it's like a glass knob with a very flat underside. Use it on a piece of glass and it really grinds things up. You could probably use a spice grinder if you wanted to go to that kind of trouble and have it full of mica powder afterwards. I'm just doing this. Because mica powder is already pretty finely ground. If you're starting with eyeshadow, then you would have to crunch it up into fine powder. Get a new piece of black paper. So now we're going to get our bird again. Put it on our stamp pad. I have had this Versamark stamp pad for, I would guess, more than a year now, and it's still good and gooey. I'll just stamp this little guy on here. Okay, so now hopefully you can see that he's got some wet stuff on him in the shape of the stamp. I will take our mixture, which hopefully I mixed really well, and we'll put it on here. I will say that the gal I watched in the original video, again, the one that inspired me to try this to begin with, she used a very, very, very light rose gold, almost a pink champagne sort of eyeshadow or mica powder. And she had no trouble getting the glossy setup version to look glossy. Whoops. So maybe this dark blue is just too dark. I don't know. But that's what I mixed up, so that's what we're going to use. Now, rather than trying to brush all this excess off now, I'm just going to blow it off with the heat gun first, and then once the mica powder and embossing powder part is embossed onto the paper, I'll brush the rest of it off. Okay, much better this time. It's not perfect, but much better. I don't know if you can see this on camera. I'll try and move things around. I can see it here, of course, but your angle is different. I see some areas where you can see the glossiness of the embossing powder coming through. And that's what I wanted for the whole thing. Maybe you just get it in thicker areas. Maybe I need to mix in even more embossing powder. So now I'm going to take it and brush this rest of this powder off. It comes right off. Well, except for that part. I should have taken care of that earlier. I don't know what happened there. But as you can see, all the extra powder that was hanging around is gone. And this is good and on here now. And some of it is shiny or glossy. So I'm going to try a different color. We're going to go with a really light color if I can find something in this huge bag of stuff. And we'll give this another try. These are supposed to be just plain micas, not color shifting micas, but it looks like I have some mixed in. Purple Ghost definitely has a shift to it. Let's try that. Let's just try that. See if we end up with a color shifting bird. Actually, not do that. Do this first. Okay, so I'm going to start with the embossing powder. Let's start with 2. You can always add more. We can't take it away. And 1 scoop of mica powder. There we go. Mix it. It's a lot less easy to see white on white being mixed. I mean, to tell when it's really mixed. But I'll do my best. Okay. All right, so that's obviously good and stuck on there. Did I get glossiness? Actually, I did. Up here, again, I don't know if it comes through on the camera. Up here, these lines, top of his head, top of his eye area, I guess, are glossy. Nothing else is, however. Oh, yeah, these lines down here seem to be a little glossy. It's a little bit there. It's a little bit in the wing. So let's try taking our 2-to-1 mixture and adding 2 more scoops that I decided not to add the first time. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is perfect. Oh, fantastic. You see the gloss? I'll tilt this in a way that you can see it. Isn't that beautiful? That's what I was hoping for. Maybe this is just too dark a powder. Look at our birdie. Isn't he adorable and very shiny? I love that. That is gorgeous. All right. So now we know a new trick to do with mica powder and clear embossing powder. Again, I will link to all of these materials below. I'm pretty sure any mica powder will do. Maybe go with a lighter color than I started with. You can also try it with eye makeup. I mean, if you have some lying around that you don't use anymore, the pan eye makeup, the pressed powder eye makeup, give it a try. Crunch it up and see what you get. Thanks everyone. Stay safe. I will see you in the next video.